will work together on various problems. Number one right now is terrorism, and we are fighting very hard, doing very well under our generals, and making tremendous progress. But when you see something like happened 2 days ago, you realize how important it is to win this fight. And we will win this fight. It's a horrible situation. What took place is horrible, unthinkable, but we will win 100%.
All right, that was President Trump earlier today in Brussels speaking about defeating ISIS and radical Islamic terrorism. He continues to show leadership on the world stage during his first foreign trip. And earlier today, while in Italy, President Trump, he met with the Pope in Vatican City. After meeting the president, he wrote on Twitter, quote, "Honor of a lifetime to meet His Holiness Pope Francis. I leave the Vatican more determined than ever to pursue peace in our world." Former Speaker of the House, Fox News, and your wife's going to be the ambassador.
Yeah, she's been nominated by the president to be the ambassador to the Vatican. So, as a girl who grew up in the church and who sings in the Basilica, she's amazingly excited by it.
Yeah. I want to talk about this foreign trip, and I want to talk about the limited legislative days left, and there's still, you got to get health care done, and I think you got to get the economy done and at least the wall funded, because those three things will be pivotal in 2018.
Well, I think they ought to try to get infrastructure. The number one goal of the Trump presidency at home has to be jobs. That means you got to fix the health system so it's not killing jobs. You got to fix the tax code so it's not killing jobs, and you need an infrastructure bill. Those would be my, if they ask my advice, that would be the three goals. But let's start with the trip. This is phenomenal. I was told yesterday he will probably have seen 85 leaders by the time the trip's over. He had 58 in Riyadh alone. The biggest gathering I know of Sunni leadership. No American president's ever done that. The speech was so powerful, it's clearly the equivalent of Reagan's Westminster speech back in 1982 in Great Britain, where he explained why communism would lose. And I think people will look back on this and say, what a historic turning point. And then to go, first president ever, to go straight from Riyadh to Jerusalem, Tel Aviv. So bringing messages from the Saudis, encouraging that they might open up some relationships.
Airspace opened up for the first time.
I mean, things happening that are practical, that are real, very much Donald Trump-like. Meets with both Abbas and Netanyahu. Really serious. I'm actually very surprised how intensely serious he is about the opportunity to work his way through and find a deal.
When he characterized the conflict, the battle, good versus evil, and drive them out, drive them out, drive them out of your mosques, your places of worship, drive them into the ground, basically. And he said it in that environment. And it was Saudi Arabia and over 50, as you point out, Arab leaders. To me, it was such a tale of two presidents when you compare to the apology tour.
Oh, yeah. And remember, he also talks about the role of women. We have to cease the oppression of women. I mean, he's talking to the leadership of the Sunni world, and they're taking it. They're applauding it. I think the king spent 2.5 days with him, was with him the entire time.
Do you know him?
No, I met him, but I don't know him. But Trump knows him now because they literally spent 2.5 days together. Probably longer than all other American presidents have spent with the Saudi king.
Let me ask you about the Republican agenda. Look, the health care bill has to get through the Senate conference, voted on again on the president's desk. I think that is key. You mentioned some other things. I think regulation and energy, regulation reform, opening up energy independence is key. But for the president, it's so important to keep his promises. But there's this distraction that I talked about in the last segment. How do you get back to focus?
Well, I think, first of all, the most interesting thing about the Trump presidency this year is going to be to look at the extraordinary discipline, the organization, the planning that gave him this 9-day tour that's unbelievable, and compare it to the chaos in Washington. And I hope he's going to come back here with a determination to start running the domestic operation with the same seriousness that he runs the foreign operation. Being disciplined, your point. If you aren't talking about jobs and you're not talking about health reform and you're not talking about infrastructure, you're not talking about a better tax system, why are you saying it? And I think this is a whole different approach. And I'm hoping that the president's looking at this extraordinary historic achievement and drawing some conclusions about how he's going to change the whole operation here at home. Second, All of their messaging should be positive and should be on the things that they're trying to get done. And now the positive can also have an edge to it. For example, we just had a 105% increase in Obamacare premiums came out today. He ought to be going right at the Democrats. Every Republican should go right at the Democrats and say to them, the program you voted for has failed. It had a 105% increase in premiums. What's your solution? You don't like ours? Fine. What's yours?
They don't have one.
But we cannot let the Democrats have a free ride of screaming no, cursing words, and you know, rioting on the streets, and then think that that's the equivalent of a great party.
Isn't it so important that the president, that something happens with the deep state leaking? Now, I have great respect for our intelligence community, but there are high-ranking people within the intelligence community,
including White House staffers.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just telling you, this president should come down like a hammer. I mean, in The Apprentice, he had this term, "You're fired." Mm-hmm. And I think they ought to say, no more leaks.
Out. I agree.
Yeah.
What about the deep state?
Well, I think he's got to continue to work on reforming it. I mean, there are a whole series of mistakes being made because the layer below the appointees, and Senator Lamar Alexander had a very chilling comment today for the Democrats in the Senate, and said there are 500 positions that we normally confirm in the Senate, but if you guys continue to fill them, to block them, the president's just going to fill them. And I thought for Lamar Alexander, who's a very senior, very thoughtful guy to give that speech, is a real signal to the Democrats. We cannot allow, and I can tell you in the Department of Labor, they just made a decision that was crazy, that was done by the Obama people who are still there. In the Department of Education, there are things going on that are still the Obama people who are still there.
They got to go.
They got to go.
Get rid of all of them.
That's right.
All right. Great to see you in studio. I never get to see you in studio. Good to see you.
Fun to be back.
All right, Mr. Speaker, thank you. And the book is called Understanding Trump, Amazon.com and bookstores soon everywhere, right?
Right.